All right, so this dude, Dale, who sent these through, he can just pick the recording up either later today or tomorrow. But he's at a time like some of you are. I can see in the room some are, some aren't. That you're in like serious scale mode, and you are needing to build your team. You've had some really good results, and now probably like the number one thing is to figure out how to get yourself out of the weeds all the time, so you can focus on, growing the business and developing the business rather than running it and running its people, managing suppliers and customers and all that kind of jazz. So for me personally, when was the right time to hire a GM? I guess when you're really starting to have some serious results, for me, it was at about the time, I think we were doing almost bang on 7 figures in revenue. And I had operations support. I had business development. Well, actually, I had a fluid role, like a hybrid role, ripping fellow called Dave Webb, who was running operations and a level of business development as well. And I was involved a lot in business development, but I had all of my tour guides still kind of answering to me. I was managing my key accounts and suppliers in equal proportions to my ops guy. Anyway, so I realized that I was just chewing up far too much time, working too hard, dealing with people too much, and I had reached kind of a level that I saw a really significant pathway that I could take the business to another level, a level above that. But it wasn't going to happen when I had no time to actually work on strategy and business development, rather than just ops and managing people. So that was, for me, that was the time. So it was when I started to feel like a little stretched at the seams, a little frustrated by having to deal with people all the time, and I couldn't get out of the business completely and watch it just sort of run like a machine without me in it. So that was when I hired a GM. So next, how much should I expect to pay them? Good question. Depending on which corner of the world you're in. If you're in Mexico, it's going to be very different to the US, which is very different to the UK and Australia. But I would always go with a salary range, and it leads into another point further down in these questions. But, there's lots of different types of people. I generally speaking go for personal attributes and personal qualities over skill sets, generally speaking. So, some of the gold nuggets that I got in my business came with limited experience and specific skill sets, but they were just culturally the best fit, and they just went above and beyond. They had this desire and thirst to grow your business. They nurtured people. They were energized. They were happy. They wanted to take and shoulder responsibility. So you might have a salary range based on skills and experience from, let's call it, if you're a 7-figure business, I don't know what's relevant today, but somewhere between, I don't know, like 80K and 110, something like that, or 70 and 100, a fairly wide salary range. It's going to attract people that are really skilled, okay? And it's going to give you a chance to get people into your pipeline that could be amazing fits, because you can teach anyone skills. You can't teach them attitude or mindset or personal qualities, I don't think, okay? Best way to incentivize, lots of different ways. My personal development plan, which is in the program, I think it's in week 1, there's a lesson on implementing processes, locking in key people, which walks you through how I implemented my personal development plan, PDP, where people got a chance to make an additional 10% of their salary in bonus. So that was the way I incentivized, and there was role-specific objectives and company-wide objectives, minimum level of expectation. So there, I guess I had 3 GMs really in my time. The first just managed the business and ran the business. The second managed, ran, and grew. And I had to pay that guy a lot more money. Okay? So if you want someone to just run your business, manage your people, buffer you against suppliers and customers and tour guides and operations assistants, so that you can focus on growing the business, great. But if you want someone to do both, then you need to pay them at the higher end of the range. Okay, so yeah. Hey, Dale, I think you just joined, mate. I'm actually sort of halfway through going through these questions that you submitted. So go back and watch the replay. We're about halfway through. Yeah, you'll be able to. I think it'll be loaded up either later today or first thing tomorrow. So how much did hiring a GM allow your business to grow? For me personally, the first really good GM that was like not a hybrid role, like a business or office manager, business development manager. My first out and out GM took us in 3 years from $1 million to well over 2 million. And so that was considerable. And that's what you're going to get with someone at the higher end of the scale. So my adage, what I learned over the journey is you get what you pay for. Okay. So when anecdotally, the GM that I had that had the biggest impact on my business was with me for about 3 to 4 years. We really did not like each other. Maybe we would these days. Maybe we wouldn't. I did a lot wrong. I learned a lot. That goes back to the final point. But he came from a corporate background, Tourism Australia, and he turned us into a really professional organization. Okay. He built on the foundation I had. I was great at sales, marketing, relationship building. He turned our business into a serious business that was professional, streamlined, organized. So he did. And what that actually did to my business as far as value, immeasurable. Did he put $1 million of value into my business? Probably. Like just through the way that he turned it into he used a lot of the experience that he had in the corporate world of tourism to implement into my business. So a lot of the systems and the processes and the templates and the agreements and all these things that you see were things that he took what I had and turned it into something that looks like professional, So that was so where am I up to? So yeah, so he was a great hire. But moving on to the next couple of questions, I'm going to go to the last question before the second last. So what would I do differently? Well, our relationship sort of slowly, methodically deteriorated. And a lot of that was down to the fact that I didn't set expectations and I didn't communicate well enough when I hired him. When I hired him, I built a 7-figure business off my own back. I was working crazy hard. I had thrown everything into it. I had a really good business, but it needed a serious, facelift, level of professionalism, blah, 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 blah. And I was at a time when I actually wanted to start reclaiming my life. I wanted to spend more time with the family, wanted to travel more. I'd moved down the coast, wanted to work more and more remotely, only come into the office on occasions. And I didn't really communicate to him what my goals and visions for my role in the business were and for the business itself. So he came in with a different set of expectations, and generally, like, resentment grew over time. And his mindset was, I'm over here in the trenches, growing your business, doing all the hard work. You're reaping all the rewards. And it doesn't feel like you're fully invested in it. That wasn't the case. I love my business, but I wanted a different type of relationship with it that I'd had. I didn't communicate that to him. And I probably got the wrong person in some ways because I did not have fun working with him for a long time. All right. So a lot of that was down to me and my fault, my lack of communication and transparency. So when he left, I sold the business 8 months after he departed, and the last 6 months weren't great for us. It was great for business, but it wasn't great for us. The difference is the GM that got us to the finish line, his mindset was totally different. It was a thank you for this opportunity to be in the driver's seat running your business. Josh, stop micromanaging me on occasions. You have employed me to do a job, and that's to run your business. So you go over and do what you need to do. I've got things under control. I want the responsibility. You've been crystal clear in the fact that you want to travel and to have an automated machine running when you're not in it. So, stop checking in on me or writing, or we've agreed to a structured check-in on these particular days. Let's stick to it so I can just run your business. Okay. So that was like a breath of fresh air. It's like that was what I always wanted. And that really just came down to my communication. So, so that the challenges that I faced were probably my naivety, lack of experience in really, being clear on what I wanted, from a personal perspective, and also just from a business and a role perspective. Does that make